Once upon a time, in the beautiful and serene land of Nepal, there lived a prince named Siddhartha Gautama. He resided in a magnificent palace in the city of Kapilavastu, surrounded by the lush foothills of the Himalayas. Siddhartha's father, King Suddhodana, adored his son and wanted to protect him from all the suffering and sorrow in the world. To ensure this, he built high walls around the palace and provided Siddhartha with every luxury imaginable. The young prince had fine clothes, delicious food, and was surrounded by happy people. Despite all the comforts and happiness, Siddhartha felt a void in his heart. He often wondered about life beyond the palace walls. He was curious and felt an unexplainable pull towards the unknown world outside. One day, he decided he had to see the world beyond the confines of his royal home. With his faithful charioteer, Channa, Siddhartha ventured out of the palace gates. What he saw that day changed his life forever. On his journey, Siddhartha encountered an old man, bent and frail with age. "Channa, who is this man?" Siddhartha asked. "That is an old man, my prince. All people grow old and weak one day," Channa explained. The sight of the old man deeply troubled Siddhartha, but they continued their journey. Soon, they saw a sick man lying by the roadside, groaning in pain. "What is wrong with him?" Siddhartha asked, his eyes wide with concern. "He is sick, my prince. Illness is something that happens to people, causing them great suffering," Channa replied. As they traveled further, Siddhartha saw a funeral procession. He watched as mourners carried a lifeless body. "What is happening here, Channa?" he asked. "This is a funeral, my prince. The man has died. Death is the end that comes to all living beings," Channa said softly. The reality of old age, sickness, and death struck Siddhartha profoundly. He realized that no one, not even a prince, could escape these harsh truths of life. Feeling deeply unsettled, he returned to the palace, but his heart was no longer at peace. The luxuries and pleasures that once brought him joy now seemed meaningless. Determined to find a way to end suffering and discover the true meaning of life, Siddhartha made a bold decision. One night, while everyone was asleep, he quietly left the palace. He exchanged his royal clothes for the simple robes of a monk and began his quest for enlightenment. For many years, Siddhartha wandered through forests and villages, seeking wisdom from wise teachers and practicing severe self-discipline. He meditated for long hours, often eating very little and enduring harsh conditions. Despite all his efforts, he did not find the answers he sought. One day, exhausted and near collapse, Siddhartha realized that extreme asceticism was not the path to enlightenment. He accepted a bowl of rice and milk from a kind village girl named Sujata, regaining his strength. He understood that neither indulgence in luxury nor extreme deprivation would lead him to the truth. Instead, he resolved to follow a middle way, a path of balance and moderation. Siddhartha made his way to a large Bodhi tree near the village of Bodh Gaya. Sitting beneath the tree, he vowed not to rise until he attained enlightenment. Days and nights passed as Siddhartha meditated deeply, facing temptations and distractions, but his determination was unwavering. Finally, on the full moon night of Vesak, Siddhartha attained enlightenment. He became the Buddha, which means, the awakened one. The Buddha had discovered the Four Noble Truths, which explained the nature of suffering and the path to its cessation. He also understood the Eightfold Path, a practical guide to ethical and mindful living that could lead others to enlightenment. Filled with compassion and wisdom, the Buddha began teaching others what he had learned. He traveled across Nepal and neighboring regions, sharing his insights with anyone who would listen. People from all walks of life came to hear him, finding hope and solace in his words. One day, a young boy named Ananda approached the Buddha. Ananda was curious and eager to learn. "Great teacher, what is the most important lesson we should remember?" he asked. The Buddha smiled kindly at Ananda and replied, "Remember, Ananda, that true happiness comes not from wealth or possessions, but from understanding and compassion. When we see the world with clear eyes and an open heart, we can overcome suffering and find peace. Follow the path of kindness, wisdom, and moderation, and you will discover the true meaning of life." Ananda listened carefully, his heart filled with inspiration. He decided to follow the Buddha's teachings and live a life of mindfulness and compassion. Over time, Ananda became one of the Buddha's closest disciples, spreading the message of enlightenment far and wide. The story of Gautam Buddha teaches us many valuable lessons. It shows us the importance of seeking wisdom, practicing compassion, and living a balanced life. The Buddha's journey from a sheltered prince to an enlightened teacher inspires us to look beyond material wealth and strive for inner peace and understanding. For children, this story reminds us that life is full of challenges, but with determination, kindness, and the right path, we can overcome them and find true happiness. Just as the Buddha did, we can all strive to be compassionate, wise, and mindful, making the world a better place for ourselves and others.